No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
In a season full of records, it's only fitting that in Game 82, the Winnipeg Jets set another record. This, the franchise record for most points in a season. They get it by earning 1 point against the Anaheim Ducks and then following it up with a little bit of an extra cushion by getting the second point in overtime. Good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this evening on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good evening, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Game number 82 in the books, and many more, Jets fans hope, still to come. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Game that didn't have much meaning, except for the fact that Ville Husso is now going to get some Vezina Trophy voting, given his performance tonight for the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, boys, Husso was incredible tonight. He almost stole a win for the Ducks.
Yeah.
And obviously Josh Morrissey had different ideas, making that beautiful play to break up the 2-on-1 with Mason McTavish and Jackson Lacombe there, and then getting the assist on the Scheifele OT winner. But yeah, Ville Husso, Drew, was definitely a big story. What did he end up with? 44 saves, 43 saves, over 40 saves, whatever it was. He was incredible.
I think it was
and as
the end of the first period, the way the Jets were peppering him earlier in the game, early on in the game. He ended up with 42 saves, 44 shots on goal for the Winnipeg Jets, 42 saves for Ville Husso.
And Ville Husso's the third string goalie for the Ducks, right?
Yeah.
So, like, pretty incredible. But I mean, all that matters is what you just mentioned earlier, Drew. The Jets obtain another record, most points in franchise history with 116. So that's pretty incredible. That's a lot of points, right, Dave? A nice even number. And, the Jets are now going into the playoffs with a win. And more importantly, boys, they escape without a Cole Perfetti injury.
He was doing everything he could to injure himself tonight.
That is true.
And Vlad Nemesnikov, he blocks the Jacob Trouba 90-mile-per-hour slapper.
Yeah.
He had to leave. Then obviously he comes back in the second period. So Perfetti takes
that big hit from was it Cutter Gauthier?
Trevor Zegras.
Trevor Zegras. It was Cutter Gauthier who got leveled into the boards by Logan Stanley in the first period.
That was a rock'em sock'em hit, boys.
That was a big
and
hit.
I'm not sure what's happening behind Dave's screen right now.
I don't know either.
I'm just seeing double XL. I'm not sure if that's my
pizza
size or what's going on.
Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out.
Fix it, Dave. Get that fire back. Let's go.
Yeah, you're confusing the audience.
I'm confusing myself. That's not supposed to happen, but all right, whatever.
It's okay. I won't get distracted, even though I just saw a dog with a puffy tail. But yeah, let's keep on point here, boys. The Jets pick up the win. It wasn't pretty, but they obviously stick with it. It wasn't for lack of shots, as Drew mentioned, putting up a lot of rubber on Ville Husso, and they escaped the game. We were joking, but it's not a joke. They escaped the game with no injuries, and most importantly, boys, Dylan Sandberg did not miss a beat. I thought he was excellent tonight. That was a guy that we were all watching, right? Obviously coming off the shot block, the Connor McDavid shot block, right? So Sandberg was excellent, and great to see Neal Pionk obviously score a goal after not playing against the Oilers. So overall, it was a little bit tense, maybe a little bit more tense than Jets fans would like. But at the end of the day, they finish off and they get the record and they finish on a high note.
And a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard will tell you that the Montreal Canadiens did defeat the Carolina Hurricanes, so they get the second.
Caden Gooley, Drew. Caden Gooley coming through huge.
Yes, the Habs get the second wild card spot in the East, which should mean, hopefully, that we might get a schedule in the next hour so that we can know when the playoffs are set to begin. And of course, as soon as that news is out, we will bring it to you live here on the Illegal Curve post-game show, assuming it happens in the next hour or so. And then, of course, illegalcurve.com will have all the latest information along those lines. Again, we will find out as soon as we know. You will know here tonight about the Jets schedule, whether it's Saturday and whether it's Sunday. And I've seen rumors and people freaking out that it's going to be 9:30 p.m. on Sunday night. I saw that, and That would be a wild start time, and I don't know what the time is.
I will tell you that I've been told that it should be some interesting scheduling this series, so it's going to be. I don't know anything official yet, of course, but a lot of chit chat is happening, and it sounds like it could be some interesting times as folks are used to in this market. Unfortunately,
I don't know if you guys saw this earlier today, guys, but Jeremy Rutherford seems to think it's going to be Saturday, even though Mike McIntyre yesterday seemed to think it was going to be Sunday. So again, we don't know, but I just wanted to throw that out there that this morning Jeremy Rutherford said that it was going to be Saturday. Take that for whatever it's worth. But I think regardless, what I was going to say is Jets fans are going to organize their life schedules around whatever day and whatever time it is. So Saturday at 7 or Sunday at 9:30, guys, I think Jets fans will postpone whatever other plans or activities they had scheduled.
Easy for you to say. I have an anniversary dinner with my wife on Saturday there, Ginsburg. You can break the news to her that dinner's not going to happen.
Well, so you're hoping for Sunday, obviously, Drew. But Sunday, I mean, right now, I mean, I think you guys saw earlier that there's some concerts in St. Louis, so that might delay games 3 and 4, right? But again, I mean, once the schedule comes out, I think a lot of people will just adjust accordingly.
You're right about that. There's no question about it, and we will find out as quickly as we can. It sounds like, we don't know. I'm not going to speculate until we see it, but, the important part for the Winnipeg Jets is that it's nice that they get a victory. Connor Hellebuyck lowers his goals against average, so it was interesting. Coming into tonight's game, he was tied with Darcy Kuemper of the Los Angeles Kings in goals against average. Granted, he's played far more games than Darcy Kuemper has, so it's a bit of an asterisk next to that stat, but he lowers it by only giving up the 1 goal tonight. And to your point, Ezzy, the Jets certainly didn't make it easy on themselves vis-a-vis injury troubles, but it does seem by and large that all 18 skaters plus Connor Hellebuyck were able to finish the game, and seems like they should be healthy at least, or they didn't leave the game any more unscathed than they already were entering the game. Things can flare up, of course, but it does seem that despite a couple of scares in the course of the 60 minutes, the Jets seem to have exited the game. They get the win. It was more of an open game, I would say, than people probably would have expected. The Jets.
Yeah, that's an understatement, Drew.
Yeah. It was not a tight checking as that you would expect, but that's to be expected in a game like this. This isn't where you necessarily are so super dialed in. It's more of a game of survive and advance to the playoffs.
Absolutely. And the Ducks get 5 of 6 points out of the Jets in 3 games, right, guys? So let's not take anything away from the Ducks. And I've told you guys this when we've been doing the post-game shows, and I've been talking to Dave about this off air when we're not doing the shows. This Ducks team is going to be good in 2 or 3 years. Like, give this team a little bit of time, right? With all of these first round picks, right? Whether it's Leo Carlson or Cutter Gauthier or Pavel Mintyukov, Mason McTavish, like there's a lot of good players.
Jackson Lacombe looks like a great defenseman.
He's going to be a household name in a few years. This guy's a stud. Absolutely great defenseman. I'd like to see him in a Jets jersey, to be honest with you. But he's a great defenseman out of Minnesota, and obviously almost won it for the Ducks in overtime there. But the Jets don't suffer any injuries, which is huge. And off ice, obviously, guys, the biggest news of the week, maybe Dave was all over it for illegalcurve.com, is Gabe Vilardi has been skating multiple days in a row now. And it looks like there is a chance that he's going to play game 1. We don't know for sure, but it's looking promising.
Well, it's certainly looking, the fact he's back on the ice certainly, leads some credence that you're going to see him, I would say, sooner rather than later. Not to say it's necessarily going to be game 1. We don't know what game it's going to be, but him back on the ice is a huge boost for the Winnipeg Jets. It's a huge boost for a struggling Winnipeg Jets power play as well, which continued to struggle and did not succeed at with a 5-on-3 man advantage early.
It was ugly tonight, Drew. That the power play was, the second unit I thought looked better than the first unit. They just couldn't get anything set up, I thought.
The second unit kept it simple, which is something that sometimes the first unit, especially on the 5-on-3, Dave, I thought the first unit was just overcomplicating things. You have such a man advantage out there. Put pucks through, especially on a goalie like Ville Husso, who's not known as, you don't expect Ville Husso to not let up a couple of rebounds. Get pucks through, get a rebound, use your man advantage. Instead, it was too much on the perimeter, too much looking for the perfect pass, something we've talked about, especially with the Jets 5-on-3 situation. I mean, look, it's worth saying because it's a fact of the matter is the Jets are without two of their 4 forwards in their primary power play setup, and they're without 2 of their top 6 forwards, at 5-on-5 play. So, the Jets have been able to withstand those losses, and you certainly hope that one of Vilardi, it seems like Vilardi is more likely to return sooner than Ehlers, given Ehlers' week-to-week status. But the Jets are entering the playoffs certainly not at full strength, particularly with their forward group up front.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when you look at the power play, I mean, there's just not as much dynamicism. How's that for a word, boys? And it's just not as dangerous, right? Like, it's just not. That's a word. What do you mean? It's a word.
Dynamicism?
Well, how's that not a word? That's a word.
Dave, dynamicism? Dave's not even listening anymore. I don't think dynamicism is a word. I think being dynamic is a word.
Okay, well, I thought it was a word. Maybe, I don't know. I thought I had a pretty good grasp of the English language. But regardless, you're missing key weapons out there, like you said, Drew. And Vilardi's injury Vilardi's return would obviously help them out a lot. And hopefully Ehlers is able to come back for round 1 as well. But I think Cole Perfetti's looked good on the first power play unit, replacing Vilardi. And I think Nino Niederreiter, boys, has looked really good on that second line. He gives the line a little bit more size, right? That's been the big criticism.
Here's Scott Arniel.
Yeah.
Scott, a few milestones to touch upon tonight. You set a franchise record for most points in a single season by Jets 1.0, Thrashers, or Jets 2.0. What does it mean to do in front of these fans?
Yeah, again, amazing accomplishment for these guys to put a season together like that. We've done some really outstanding things this year, and when you start day 1, game 1. You don't anticipate something like this happening, and there's been a lot of fantastic things. I can't credit the players enough for what they've done, and just stayed focused all 82 games, and to get it here at the end was special, and in front of our fans.
A couple of players were asked about the Jennings Trophy, and I think they both said buy-in and commitment in terms of what it says about the group. But what do you see from the top? Why did this team do it twice in a row?
Well, we talked about it in training camp that was, actually the players talked about it. We did a lot of team building stuff at the beginning of the year, and we had some groups that we split them up to groups, and it was amazing that every group came back. That part of our identity, first and foremost, was going to be our how we defended like we did last year, and how it gave us a chance to win hockey games and to be in hockey games that we had enough skill to score goals. But everybody knows that when it comes to game 83 and on, the teams that defend the best are the ones that usually end up at the end of the day, holding that trophy. So the buy-in from these guys the last couple of years has been amazing. And, it isn't just defensive, players. It's your top players, your offensive guys, your role players. It's everybody believing in a certain way to play. And, that gives you the chance to win hockey games. And, you back it up with an outstanding goaltender. Goaltenders, that makes it that much more difficult to play against us.
Looking back on this season, you mentioned it's not just role players and whatnot. How much do you think that the impact of Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor's evolving defensive game has contributed to you guys repeating as to Jennings?
Well, it certainly is those two, recognizing that they have to play a certain way so they're not chasing the game in their end of the rink all night long. But that's been everybody. That isn't just those two. It can be, like Adam Lowry was a good defender. Now he's a great defender. Mason Appleton, Sandberg, like those guys were good defenders, and now they've become, they're the pride that they take in defending every night. It's fun to watch, and I'm real proud to see these guys do it on a nightly basis. And we talk about our defending. Our defending isn't just in our end of the rink. It's when we don't have the puck. It's it's a part of our forecheck. It's part of our tracking. It's part of how we defend through the neutral zone. And it just, if you do it long enough, hard enough, it can frustrate the opposition, and that's where our offense comes from. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that we haven't, taken away from our offense. Our offense has actually even gotten better because of it. And I think the players recognize that you do the right things without the puck, you have it more on your stick, and now you can go do all the fun things, and that's score goals.
Is there any element of that, like when you're a coach and you're teaching and you're preaching defense and you say, well, the offense is going to come, you guys are going to get those opportunities, but is there any element of that you had to learn and be like, phew, yep, they did score as much as I told them they were going to?
Well, I think we have the offensive talent that once the puck gets in their hands, that they're going to do the right things and they're going to make it hard on the opposition. But yeah, I mean, that started a few years ago, that we started to, talk about how we had to play when we didn't have the puck, and it's gradually our offensive side. We still talk about offense. We still look at teams, how they defend us on the rush, how they defend us in their end of the rink. There's areas that if it's a man-on-man team, how we attack them. We have game plans for teams that swarm. So there's lots of areas where we do work on our offense just as much as we do on our defense. But if you don't have the puck, you got to get it back, and that's these guys have recognized that the faster they get it back, the more more chances we are in a position for us to score goals.
Scott, your singular focus has been such a key for your group, but is there a signature moment for you that will stand out about the regular season, or a theme on the whole?
It a lot of the stuff we talked about, and there's for us, we had a list of them. I can't tell you them all, but we talked about getting off to a great start. We did that. We talked about those I had mentioned a few times about the three sort of seasons that are within the season, and we came out of those three different segments. And then the last one ended tonight, but won all those segments and won them, going away, and eliminating the the 8 teams, winning the Central. Like we hit a lot of things that we were. We were shooting for, and that's where our leadership and our group has just bought into the team first mentality. And I know I can't hit it right on the button on one. Just how proud I am of that. We had we had some goals and some things that we wanted to do coming out of training camp, and kind of to your point, you don't know if it's going to happen. You're hoping that it's going to work. And it's been these 82 games have been just fantastic.
Sorry, just one more on Neal Pionk. Him coming back in the lineup. We've talked a lot about Neal's presence, off the ice in your room, but Neal Pionk in your lineup, especially going to the playoffs here, like how important is his presence for the Winnipeg Jets going into the stretch run?
Yeah, we know what he does. Like you mentioned, all those great things about him being a leader and the room and all that stuff. But the other side for me is you really notice that. He has an offensive side to him. We saw it tonight, but he has an offensive side much like Josh Morrissey, and those are important, because if we're trying to create our offense, it has to come from everybody on the ice. It has to come from your back end as well. They have to. We've been harping this for the last 3 years here about the offense has to come from all 5 guys on the ice, and if our D aren't a part of that, it's really easy to shut us down. And when Neal's not there, that's another weapon for us, not only on the power play, but 5-on-5, he makes plays, and he, whether that's passing the puck or getting that shot off, he has a real good offensive instinct that we miss when he's not there. Thank you. Yep, thanks.
Here he goes, Winnipeg Jets head coach Scott Arniel, talking tonight in the Matt Frost Media Center ahead of the Winnipeg Jets wrapping up 82 regular season games. And of course, the focus for the Jets head coach and for the entire organization shifting to this weekend, be it Saturday, be it Sunday. Again, rumors are flying, but we will not speculate. We will wait for the official announcement regarding when game 1 is going to be and when the schedule for the Jets and the St. Louis Blues will be announced a little bit later, hopefully tonight, so that people can begin to plan their lives.
Well, Dave wants that content for illegalcurve.com as well.
Has Dave spoken on the post-game show yet? I'm not entirely sure. He's busy doing something over there. I can see his fingers working hard over there.
No, I'm not doing anything. I'm just waiting.
We gave you the opportunity before. You didn't
Really?
take it. Yeah.
Dave
Everything.
is running the internet right now. It's hard to run the internet while doing a post-game show.
I paused and everything. Dave, your thoughts. You were in the room, in the building tonight. The Jets obviously were the better of the two teams. Just in general, I guess, now that we've wrapped up, or now that we're in the midst of wrapping up.
By the way, it switched to Stanley Cup playoffs. See that?
Yeah, that's very quick. But just as we're in the midst of 82 of these, the final of the 82 regular season post-game shows, Dave.
Well, I mean, I thought Ezzy would be more excited about the fact that Connor Hellebuyck winning the William Jennings Award. And because he did, he becomes the first goalie since Marty Brodeur in 2003, and 2004 to win back-to-back. Only the fourth time it's ever happened. Marty Brodeur did, hold on, I'm not done. Marty Brodeur did it twice. And he won a lot more than just 4 times, but I meant twice in a row. And Patty Roy and Brian Hayward, who was in the building tonight, did it 3 times in the late 80s. So I
wonder if you can name his Marty Brodeur's backups those 2 years that he won those.
I would not be able to.
Maybe Corey Schwab, Scott Clemenson, maybe
was
we're talking.
Chris Terreri one of the backups?
Could have been Chris Terreri, yeah.
Yeah. But also, for the first time ever, Connor Hellebuyck has become the first solo winner of back-to-back Jennings Trophy, the Jennings Trophy Award. So before, when the last time it was done for back-to-back, it was done as a tandem. Hellebuyck is the first time ever to have, it will only be his name on the trophy. Frank Saravelli tweeted about that, and Murat tweeted about that earlier tonight, that for the first time ever, Connor Hellebuyck has become a solo winner back-to-back. Connor Hellebuyck is the first back-to-back lone recipient.
I don't know. It's weird because when you look at the NHL website, which lists if there's a tandem or not, with Marty Brodeur in 2003, 2004, they do not have him as winning with anyone else. So I don't know. I mean, if you can either
I wonder if the rules changed. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, because it does strike me as odd, because it's not like Marty Brodeur wasn't a workhorse.
I was going to say Marty Brodeur pretty much played like 70 games, so I don't know how there'd be a backup to play any games remaining as he. But regardless, again, my reading is different than whatever they're saying. I just went based on what the NHL website said. So, like I said, it's just, I just thought it was interesting. I just thought it was interesting that, that the Jets, and not only that, they back-to-back times, the only team in the NHL to not allow more than 200 goals. So last year they allowed 199. This year, they allowed 191. So it's been pretty impressive, the defensive effort from this team. I thought we saw examples of that, especially in that third period. Kyle Connor has that grade A chance in the Duck zone, and then he gets on the motor and does the old takeaway in the D zone, which was looking like a dangerous chance for the Ducks. So, I just thought it was an interesting game. I mean, at one point I said to the folks in the press box, I said, like, have there been 14 shots in the first 6 minutes of this game? Like, what is going on? And the Jets are not, I wasn't expecting them to be a particularly high volume shooting game. And then next thing I know, 40 minutes in, it was like 60 shots combined.
True or false? There were 126 shot attempts in this game.
I'm going to say true.
100. True or false? It's always true, by the way.
Yes.
But the Anaheim Ducks, again, give them credit. I was just going to say, the first period was completely one-sided. The Jets could have easily had 3 or 4 goals, if not for Ville Husso. But in the second period, the Ducks came on. Remember, Mason McTavish, I made the notes here. He had a couple scoring chances back-to-back. Troy Terry, known as the Jets killer, he had a couple scoring chances back-to-back. Jackson Lacombe in the second period had a rebound chance. Hellebuyck made a really good save. So, again,
I think the Jets were happy. I mean, again, it's a meaningless hockey game, so the Jets didn't have a problem with there being a lot more room on the ice. I mean, we remember when they played Dallas, last week, and then when they played St. Louis, those were tight checking games. This was not going to be a tight checking game.
It was the opposite, right, Drew?
It was an exhibition game.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, I guess what I was trying to say, earlier before you rudely cut me off, Drew, was that it was a more entertaining game than I thought it was going to be. Right? Like, this could have easily been a complete dud. Like the Jets could have, put up 5 or 6 goals and they could have embarrassed the Ducks. But the Ducks came to play, and so did the Jets. And just as an aside, guys, before we break a few goals down here, like it was a little bit of a surprise that the Jets didn't rest at least a few veterans. Like I'm not surprised that Morrissey, Pionk, Lowry, and Schenn came back in the lineup, but I thought there might be a few guys, that might have been bumped up that, they were out. But again, that's a testament to this team. This team, these guys want to play. They want it to be game ready going into the playoffs. So in that respect, you love to see that even if they didn't score on the power play, they were getting touches, right? Like they were getting those opportunities, right, Dave? Yeah. So, and Hellebuyck picks up another win, and, he's ready to go for the playoffs. Obviously, that was never in doubt. But, you love to see them get the extra point in overtime in that fashion.
But it's just funny that you mentioned that, though, Ezzy, because that was the big question mark. In fact, I mean, we speculated, would Elias Salamonson make his NHL debut? I thought, well, why not? Because it's a fairly meaningless game. And we saw that across the board. Like Carolina, for example, who went into Montreal, had they won that game, it would have been obviously very important, and we would probably not know the schedule. But the point I'm making is that they, Skylar Brindamore, Rob Brindamore's kid, and they had one other guy make their NHL debut. And so, I mean, again, something we saw last year with Nikita Chibrikov and Brad Lambert in game 82 against the Canucks. So I thought that would be something that we would hear yesterday. And it was a very informative day for Jets fans, in case, of course, we didn't have a show yesterday. But as you guys mentioned off the hop, I mean, you get a lot of interesting news. I mean, I happened to be there early because I was there early to see the Moose practice, because they were practicing before the Jets. And then I'm like, that guy's not a Moose. That looks like Gabriel Vilardi. So sure enough, we see him, and he was working with Jake Wolf, the strength and conditioning coach, and he looked good. His skating was good. I wouldn't go so far as to say when he might be back. I'm not going to speculate, but I mean, obviously you want to see him in practice, and the Jets, I think, have a practice scheduled for tomorrow. Whether they keep that, I know it's loose, so we'll see if it ends up sticking or not. But the fact of the matter is,
Colby said maybe that they're gonna scrap it, and it's gonna be Friday at Hockey for All Center.
Well, my guess is that they have a one for Friday, but I would imagine that we thought if they end up playing on Saturday, they probably would still skate tomorrow. So we'll see if that ends up happening or not. As of right now, there's a practice scheduled, so we know that as he said, Vilardi skated again. The other thing that was significant, obviously, boys, was after blocking that shot against the Edmonton Oilers, Dylan Samberg, totally fine. Not the only thing that was problematic for Dylan Samberg and Cole Perfetti, boys, yesterday was finding out that Connor Hellebuyck was ranked 3rd on the NHLPA's list of the best goaltenders in the world. So that was that created some fun content on the old
are people media. Watching a different sport?
But for the record, that's funny. Not people. That's not players. People. That's 623 players in the NHL that voted for that.
That's the part that surprises me the most, because players they know more than anybody. And so
I don't, it's funny. You say that, Drew, but I gotta tell you, being around the players all the time, I'm not so sure they do. Lots of times you'll hear guys talk, and you'll be like, they'll say, what they'll call the other goalie, the goalie. They don't even know their names sometimes. So I'm not so certain. I wouldn't be so certain about that.
I wonder, and again, they're not going to release the micro stats behind the survey, but I'd be curious to see what the split on that is, East versus West.
Yeah, that's
how many of those 600.
A lot of that's coming from the East for sure.
Well, and I don't know the answer, of course, and they're not going to answer that question. But I suspect the players in the Central Division, because Connor Hellebuyck's numbers versus the Central this year were even more astounding than his overall numbers. Yeah, right. I bet you the people in the Central Division or the Western Conference that played him 2, 3, 4, 5 times might have a slightly different opinion than a lot of those guys from the
guys. I'll tell you how much I pay attention to these polls and these stats.
Yeah,
0.
Well, I know, but I agree with you, Az, but to me, it's a little bit more informative because it's the players. Like when I mean, not to discount.
Still don't care. Colleagues. Sorry, Dave. I know it's good content for us, but I still just don't care. Like Hellebuyck is the best goalie in the league. What stat do we have to go over to prove that he's the best goalie in the league?
It's also weird that, again, I could understand folks going with Vasilevsky because although it was funny, Samberg's comment was interesting because he basically said, he's been good lately, but essentially saying, but we're going to go with the guy who's played well all year long. And Vasilevsky obviously has Stanley Cups and he has, Vezina. So, I mean, he's got the pedigree, but Shesterkin over Hellebuyck, again, that's where that bias really kind of, I'm not saying Shesterkin's not a good goalie. We know he is, but I'm just saying that it was a little surprising. Anyways,
at the end of the day, Dave, when Hellebuyck wins his 3rd Vezina trophy, that poll will be even more meaningless than it already is.
I agree. But I just thought it was funny content. Listen to Dylan Sapp. Both actually, the best was so the way it was presented. I don't think they had even seen the poll, and then John Liu actually had it on his phone and kind of showed it to them. So you kind of saw them in real time seeing this information. And then you just kind of watched both the Sandberg and Perfetti kind of make very funny facial expressions. If you haven't seen it, of course, check our YouTube channel. We've got those videos. We've also got it on our various other social medias like Instagram and everything else. But anyways, and then the other last piece of information that we talked about yesterday was, of course, the bad news about Nikolaj Ehlers, because that was, we know from Scott Arniel 2 days ago when he was asked for an injury update, and he basically said everybody's day to day. And so we were asking, basically, I think Kelly asked him about the guys who had not been skating yesterday because it was an optional, and he had said something to the effect of, well, everybody's day to day. Oh wait, except for Nikolaj Ehlers, he's week to week. So again, we know that it'll be a week after, week from when the injury occurred in Chicago on Saturday to this Saturday, presumably, if game 1 is then. But again, I wouldn't anticipate that Nikolaj Ehlers will be back anytime soon. But anyways, that's that's an unfortunate one. But this team has enough depth, I think, that it shouldn't be an issue for the first round.
I would agree with you. It's going to be interesting, of course, but that is a loss. The loss of Nikolaj Ehlers is a significant one. I mean, it's a significant hit for him personally, but he's such a dynamic player. You don't replicate what he brings to the ice on a game in, game in.
He brings dynamicism. That's
right. The dynamicism that you invented. That's exactly what he brings to the ice surface. So look, I think that the Jets are the better team versus the St. Louis Blues. No question about it. I do. The Blues are definitely not going to make it easy on the Winnipeg Jets, but if the Jets continue to play the smothering style that we've seen, then they should be able to, do what they need to do. And we'll break it down in excruciating detail on Saturday morning's Illegal Curve hockey show. So I don't want to get ahead of that, but we can't poo-poo the absence of Nikolaj Ehlers and Gabe Vilardi, because anytime you're without 2 of your top 6 forwards, it's going to have an impact on your performance on the ice. It just is. And the Jets, I think the best case scenario for the Winnipeg Jets would be Vilardi comes back sooner than Ehlers, and maybe Ehlers week to week is shorter, closer to a 2-week time frame than an 8-week time frame.
Well, exactly. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to add, because originally you asked me about the power play, and I just think this is what ties it in, is that you can just see the absence of Gabriel Vilardi's presence in front, with all due respect, like Cole Perfetti, but you just miss it without Gabriel Vilardi in front. And you miss again, everyone was standing around. That 5-on-3 was like quicksand. And I know we'll probably talk about it when we get into the game recap, but they're just not moving around enough. And so it was just, think about it from this perspective. The Jets, what was the final shots on net, Drew?
It was
44,
31.
44. So the Jets had 44 shots, but they didn't have a shot in the power play. In that power play, I should say. So the 5-on-3 didn't get a shot on net, and I don't even think they had a shot on the 5-on-4. Maybe. Oh, no, they didn't, because the shot that I think it was Nino Niederreiter got was after the final penalty had ended. So it was just. And by the way, talking about that penalty, boys, it was very unusual because the referee didn't actually announce the penalty. So it was like if there's a penalty on the board, but the ref doesn't call it, does it actually happen, Ezzy? And they did. Vetrano was in the box, but it was just kind of
testing
funny.
Out that material on X.
I did.
Bring it in. I'm always going to call you out on that.
I know. I can always watch your face too as I'm doing it. I'm like, I know Ezzy knows I've already used this line, but I didn't use it in live, Ezzy. So I figured maybe it'd be okay.
It's true. That power play. Look, the power play wasn't great tonight. Are any of us worried about the power play going into the first round? I don't think so. Are you?
I think it's a concern. I think it's definitely a concern. The way it has been.
But the power play is but the previous 5 games, the power play was, I think, 33%. So, I'm just saying.
But it's a power play without Ehlers and Vilardi now. It's not the same power play that we saw.
For sure,
Ehlers, for the majority of the season.
That's why I agree with you, Drew, in terms of if Vilardi is going to be out for any significant amount of time in the first round, and we don't know. We can't speculate. Just because Vilardi's been skating doesn't mean he's a guarantee for game 1. He's, I would say, questionable, I guess is the word you would use for game 1. It's kind of 50-50 at this point.
I'd be surprised if he's on the ice for game 1, I would say. Personally,
Yeah,
I would
but
be
again,
surprised.
we're just speculating, right?
Yeah, we're absolutely just
nobody.
speculating.
Nobody knows. That's all I'm saying, Drew. You could be right. You could absolutely be right. Let's be honest. In the 16 years of doing the show, you're right more often than I am. So
Can we get that? Can I get that clip? Can Massimo, our intern, clip that so I can just hit that button and get that anytime I need it, Dave?
my
Sure,
overlord,
absolutely.
Drew. Yes, you can get that clipped. But yeah, I mean, look, Vilardi and Ehlers are key players, like you said, Drew. I mean, these are two top 6 forwards. When you're talking about Ehlers, you're talking about the 3rd leading scorer on the team, and when you're talking about Vilardi, you're talking about the 5th leading scorer on the team, right? So, I mean, it's Captain Obvious to say that the Jets need these guys against the Blues in the first round. So, and especially on the power play, right? So we'll, cross our fingers, and hopefully Vilardi, if he's not ready to go for game 1, he'll be ready to go for, games 2 or 3. But Ehlers, obviously, it's looking pretty likely he's not going to be in the lineup for round 1.
Yeah, I would say that a week-to-week status to heal up that quickly would be unexpected. That would be the charitable word that I would use regarding that. Let's get into the game. It'll be a bit of a different game recap because, first of all, there were only 3 goals, and the game itself wasn't that meaningful. In fact, it had no meaning in terms of the standings.
You don't want to talk about the Alex Iafallo big signing there, Drew?
I do. I want to talk about that in the midst of the game recap, though, so I can
okay.
play the bumper and I can do the read. Is what I want to do.
Go ahead.
The Play Now game recap.
Big thanks to our friends at Play Now for their continued support of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Learn to bet with Play Now, the official betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets. Sign up and get up to $250 in bonus bets. Conditions apply. 18 plus. Enjoy responsibly. So let's start with that. The Iafallo extension, which was announced early this morning, just sort of as the Jets, just before the Jets hit the ice for their morning skate. We had heard from our buddy Ken Wiebe. He was the first to report it back on March 11th, so about 5 weeks ago, that Alex Iafallo expressed significant interest in returning to the Winnipeg Jets. And that contract extension got done earlier today. 3-year extension for Alex Iafallo, an AAV of $3.666666 million per season. A bit of a pay cut from where he once was, where the contract that he is under currently, I think, pays him $4 million per season. But clearly he likes it here in Winnipeg since coming over from the LA Kings, so much so that he forgoes unrestricted free agency and re-ups for the next 3 seasons. Gentlemen, I guess I'll start with you, Ezzy. Just a first opening thought on this contract.
I feel so lucky, Dave, that Drew picked me first.
Don't make me regret it.
Yeah, no, I won't. I mean, guys, this is a no-brainer contract. It's a great signing. Alex Iafallo. By the way, I have not heard one negative thing on social media or on TV about this contract. Like, they were talking about it on the panel, Sportsnet with David Amber, Luke Gazdick, Justin Bourne. Who else am I missing here? Sam Cosentino. They were talking about it. They all unanimously liked the contract. So, I mean, the early returns on this contract are great. Look, he's such a versatile player. We've talked about it a lot on the Saturday show. Iafallo is a guy who's fit in so great in the locker room. He obviously likes living in the city. He said that publicly that he wanted to stay here. And like you said, Drew, it's a little bit of a pay cut from what he was making, but he's older. He was younger when he signed that contract with the LA Kings, right? So at 31 years old, like, if he would have signed a 5-year deal, for example, at maybe $4 million a year, you'd say, well, maybe giving him an extra couple of years, maybe he won't be as effective when he's, 34, 35 years old, right? But I love that it's a shorter term deal. The cap, I mean, that's like kind of right around league average salary, right? Like maybe a little bit more. So I think the cap hit makes a lot of sense, Dave, considering the cap's going to be going up next year and the year after and the year after, right? But it's just nice, I think, kind of stepping back, zooming out a little bit. I really am a strong believer that this dispels the notion that players don't want to sign here. We've said this time and time again.
No, it's not true. The only people who pull out that adage are lazy commentators or lazy journalists who refuse to look at all the evidence in front of them to prove that that's not an accurate statement. Maybe it's hard to get people to waive no trade clauses to come here, but once they're here, they're happy to re-up and re-sign and establish their roots within the community.
Yeah, you're bang on, Drew. So I think it's a great contract, and I like that it's signed before the playoffs start. Iafallo, Dave was there today at Canada Life, right? And he was saying that he wanted to get it done before the playoffs started. So all around, I think it's great news. Iafallo is a great guy, a great depth player for the Jets.
Dave?
Yeah, I mean, no, look, it's just one of those things I agree with as in you have a guy who, remember, I mean, when he originally had the big deal, right, between the Jets and the Kings, the Pierre-Luc Dubois deal, we weren't certain how he was reacting to it, right? And you weren't sure if he was happy about that deal or not. And then it came here, and Scott Arniel talked about it after the morning skate. He just said, guys get to know the market and they get to know the team. And it's going to be great to sign a $4.1 million deal with a terrible team, but like, again,
Tyler Toffoli, step right up.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, you can sign a deal and you can make a lot of money, but these guys want to win a championship. And the fact of the matter is that you're going to do that with a team that has a good shot. And this window for the Jets is that 3 to 5 year window we've talked about with this current group. So why wouldn't you sign a deal for the next 3 years to be on a really good team, a team that provides you or affords you the opportunity to be on the first line, the second line? Well, I don't know the second line, the first line, the third line, and the fourth line. And so he's the versatile player. He's the kind of guy who you need in your lineup. The Jets have a lot of versatile players, right? Vlad Nemestikov's versatile. Nino Niederreiter's versatile. That's why so many people are talking about the depth of this organization and of this team. So
he's just a good worker bee.
He is, but again, more so than that is the fact, and again, to that point, is that he's a guy
not like you, Drew. You're the queen bee.
Not everybody can be the queen bee. You need some worker bees.
Well, Ezzy and I are the worker bees, so let's be real in that regard. But the fact of the matter is that you've got a guy who you can play on the power play, you can play him on the penalty kill. He's good at 5-on-5. He's responsible. He adds an element to the first line that, a little bit of a social conscience, if you will. Well, maybe not social conscience. I'm not sure he's worried about world issues, but the fact of the matter is he makes him a little more.
He is, Drew. Dave, he's actually very conscious of what's going on in various countries.
Well, I think my understanding is that he only hunts in the most humane ways possible when he's out in the bush.
I heard he actually wants to hunt you next, Drew, so be careful there. But anyways, yeah, and that's part of the element. And he mentioned that, right? And I think it's an important point. It's one that, as you are right, as he said, and you are right as well, Drew, and I don't like agreeing with you this much, but the fact of the matter is we do know what this market's all about. We know what it represents. And, it was an interesting answer, right? Why I think Kelly asked him, why Winnipeg? What is so, you could have tested free agency. You could have signed anywhere. And he basically his answer was not just about the team. So oftentimes, look, we know these guys like the team. And it's clear these guys like each other. So you can say whatever you want about this team, but there's clear that there's an affinity for one another based on just how they talk about, being connected and that sort of thing. But he also mentioned the city. So it's amazing. I love it. Having so much fun on and off the ice. I wanted to stay and be part of it. And again, that's just a testament to what this team is. And when you have Connor Hellebuyck in net, Ezzy, for the foreseeable future, you know that you have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. And so this, I think, is a great decision for him to settle for 3 more years, for the Jets to have a guy with an increasing salary, cap at the end for next year, that you're going to be able to keep a guy for, I think, what's a fair contract into the future for the next little bit to really have that sort of versatility.
It's hard to believe that anyone's ever going to regret that contract. Is, I think, to your point, even if he, even if he ends up at some point in time in the last year of that contract, there's a younger player who comes up through the system and beats him out, and he becomes the 13th forward for the Jets. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but even if that does happen, you're talking about a salary cap that's going to be skyrocketing, and you're talking about an amount of money that isn't going to be an overwhelming hindrance to your team long term.
And he's not easily replaceable, Drew. Well, like Alex Iafallo is not a guy. There aren't 20 Alex Iafallos available on the UFA market, right? Yeah. Like it's just,
and they're not coming here either, Ezzy.
And that's the thing, right? So I really think it's a brilliant signing. I really not joking when I say that. The fact that the Jets were able, and I don't mean brilliant as if Chevy had to convince Iafallo, court him and all this stuff. I'm just saying the fact that Iafallo's had the season that he's had, and the Jets were able to sign him at the end of the regular season for that amount of money, I just think is it's a big positive for the Jets organization.
And I know it's not with respect to the Alex Iafallo news specifically, but Luke Schenn was asked about, being in Winnipeg for the last month and what kind of his takeaways are. And I'm going to read his quote in part, which again is featured on our YouTube channel, so you can always watch it there. It's a first-class organization. How professional the group is, the way you get treated from top down, as far as how the organization treats you. And we've seen that with them sending him back and forth to Nashville. How they care about family. They do everything the right way. I mean, again, and he didn't know. He said, it was interesting. He said, look, I played with some guys who played on these teams, but I didn't really know these guys coming into this after being traded here to Winnipeg. And that's his kind of assessment of the organization within the first month and a bit of being a member of the Winnipeg Jets. So, I think it just speaks to what the culture they've developed, if you will. And again, like, this isn't supposed to be a love fest, but I just think like it is worth noting because Winnipeg often is, I think I got to give Paul Friesen, because I liked his headline for the thing. It was like, did you read it, Drew, or no?
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember it off the top of my head right now, though.
I'm going to pull it up just quickly while because it was very funny by him. Winger Alex Iafallo chooses the NHL's backcountry, Winnipeg.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's right.
Anyways, it's a good signing, and it was
the hunting references.
It was a good signing, and it was a good little way to get some content up on a little site called legalcurve.com this morning.
No, absolutely. I think I know Drew, you want to get to the goals, even though there weren't many tonight.
No, I don't really care, to be honest. We can do
whatever. just to kind of add or finish off or just continue whatever about Iafallo. He's just a guy. It makes so much sense for the Jets to want to sign him, and it makes so much sense for him to want to stay here. And I think it's just another UFA that Chevy doesn't have to worry about as well, because we know there's no shortage of UFAs, guys. Like whether it's Nick Ehlers, whether it's Neal Pionk, obviously there's RFAs as well with Gabe Vilardi.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Sorry.
You've re-signed Vlad Namestnikov. You've re-signed Alex Iafallo. Is the writing on the wall for Mason Appleton, or could you? Okay, so you think that they're more likely than not he's on his way out at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think that there are a number of guys who could replace Mason Appleton, and I don't think that, and that's just not to say that the organization doesn't like him, but I just think especially based on what his agent said in terms of asking for more money, I just think you say, thank you for your service. You're one of the best 6th-round picks we will ever made. Yeah. But we will find a replacement in the organization internally, is my guess.
The thing I think that's working, Dave, against Mason Appleton is that he's 29 years old and he's probably looking for 3 to 5 year deal. I think would be fair to say, right at this stage in his career.
I'd say probably more than I'd say if Iafallo got 3 and the Namestnikov got 2. Appleton, this is his first kick at UFA status. I bet you he's looking closer to 5 or 6 would be my guess.
Okay.
You don't want to go back there. When you're 32, 33 years old, you don't want to go back to free agency at that point in time. You want something that's going to take you for the next, 4, 5, 6 years of your career.
And I don't disagree with you in terms of that's what he's looking for. I don't know how many teams are offering Appleton a 6-year contract, but let's just go with 6. That's exactly my point. I don't think you're giving Apple, I think maybe the Jets would be interested in a maybe a couple years, 3 years, but I just don't think with other young players that are coming in, right? Like you got to remember, it's not just Nikita Chibrikov, it's not just Brad Lambert. You're talking about Colby Barlow, you're talking about Braden Yager, you're talking about guys I just don't think at his age.
The Jets' young players are the majority of the Jets prospects are forwards.
Exactly.
The system.
So I just look, maybe Appleton signs a contract, but I'm kind of leaning towards he's a guy that you're replacing next year.
I would tend to think you're probably right. It seems unlikely that you would re-sign all of these players, especially because I think it's not the dollars that are going to scare anybody away. I think it's going to be the term on Mason Appleton. And I know you just, I wouldn't be surprised if some team out there gives him, 5 years. We've seen some wacky contracts come on free agency, Dave, and a guy who has been a very effective, third line winger for the Winnipeg Jets. There's probably a team out there who thinks that, hey, maybe I can slot this guy in on my third line and plug him and forget him or something along those lines. I don't think that's necessarily his role. I think he needs to be surrounded by better players than him to get the most out of him. But, that's my assessment. And there's plenty of other general managers around this league who sometimes do things that leave you scratching your head a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think that, look, like I said, he's a fantastic story of a 6th rounder who, was the AHL player of the year. He was a real good piece of this, of this puzzle for a number of years. They brought him back from Seattle, so they obviously wanted him, and ultimately, at the end of the day, like he's been good in the role. But you're right, Drew. I mean, I think that with Adam Lowry, he's been elevated, and I think that's helped him out, and I think it's going to help him get his next contract. And for right now, you just focus on the here and now. So, I mean, it's always interesting when a team does something like this, when they make the decision to announce a UFA. I mean, a UFA signing like they did with
pending UFA.
With Alex Iafallo. So I don't anticipate that there's going to be anything else. Like I know everyone's like, give Ehlers his deal. That's not going to happen. Like
tomorrow, the Jets announce Appleton signed to 6-year contract.
But I again, like I said, it's an interesting change in philosophy because organizationally last year, all we heard was, well, we're not going to do that because we don't want to upset the apple cart. Kind of intended to say it that way.
Nicely done.
And thank you. And so this year we're, with they did otherwise. We saw it with Nemestikov signing. We saw it with Iafallo signing. So they are signing some of their UFAs. And obviously with Neal Pionk, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens with Alex Iafallo. And then obviously, like as he said, you got your
Brandon Tanev, I think is what you meant there.
What did I say?
Alex Iafallo. We know what happened.
Sorry. No, I think exactly.
And I mean, the UFAs, we knew that we talked about this on the show, the Saturday show, maybe a few weeks ago. We said, there's this 3 or 4 sort of guys in the bottom of the lineup, in the bottom 6 forwards that are pending UFAs, rank the priority of signing them. And obviously the Jets have put a priority on, first Nemestikov and now Iafallo. Tanev, we still don't know. Wouldn't surprise me.
I was going to say, sorry to cut you off there, Drew. I was going to say, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back Tanev for a year or 2.
I think if you give Tanev, if you give him 2 years and similar to what Nemestikov got at the $3 million mark or Iafallo got, it wouldn't surprise me.
Great 4th line guy.
Yeah. It wouldn't shock me. I wouldn't be shocked if that contract, occurred. I don't know that'll necessarily occur between now and the playoffs starting Saturday or Sunday, but I could see Tanev returning to this team for a couple of years.
See, Tanev, again, this is just my own opinion, but I think there'd be a lot more interest league-wide for a guy like Tanev as opposed to Appleton. That would
Tanev's
be my take
age
on
is
it.
going to scare away people, though. Tanev's 33. Appleton's still, relatively young. He's 29. And again, the big difference, I think, between all these contracts, the guys that we're mentioning, and a guy like Neal Pionk's number. I mean, we saw what Frank Saravelli and the Daily Faceoff guys, they crunched it and they ran it through their analytics computers and everything else. And Neal Pionk was going to be closer to a $7 million defenseman. I mean, so if you're making a mistake on a $2 million player or a $3 million player, it's for 2 or 3 years. If that ends up being a mistake, it's a lot more palatable than a 7-year, $7 million a season kind of mistake. And that's where, not that necessarily Neal Pionk would be a mistake, but that's the kind of dollar figures that he and Ehlers are Ehlers are probably going to command even more than that, are going to command. And we are joined by somebody from Tasmania in Australia. Good evening, or I guess it would be good morning or good afternoon. Mate. I think it's good afternoon in Tasmania. So good evening, good afternoon from Winnipeg as well. There you go. So we are worldwide. Mr. Ginsburg is Mr. Worldwide. It was actually a pit bull who stole that from Ezzy. So, in any event.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, shout out to our new friend from Tasmania, Australia. Love to see people tuning in, watching from wherever they may be watching. It's a big night. As we mentioned earlier, Jets hit the franchise record with 116 points. And most importantly, boys, no more regular season games. Like I've been just, looking forward to these playoffs now for a long time. Basically since the Jets clinched a playoff spot, and they had to take care of business. They had to play this game tonight, But in a few short hours, we're going to find out when game 1 is going to be, and I can't wait.
You're right. I hope you're right about that, because the NHL, I mean, you know what? I'm sure the NHL is probably waiting until all the games tonight are complete.
Yeah.
Vegas and Edmonton, or Vegas and Vancouver are playing, and Edmonton and San Jose start in about any second now. So I suspect you're going to see the schedule once the games are complete.
Yeah, it just sounds like there's a lot of you have to do a lot of coordination, right? We say it should be easy and blah, blah, blah. But remember, there's all these other teams that have things going on in buildings and things that they have commitments for. So it is a more comprehensive and cumbersome procedure to try and schedule this. And like I said, I suspect if the warning I received is accurate, and I know it probably will be, it's going to be a bizarro Jets Blues schedule, but whatever, we'll be there.
Well,
whether the games are at 9 o'clock,
yeah,
whether it's 9 o'clock Central or whether it's 4 o'clock.
Well,
Central.
but even 9 o'clock Central isn't that bizarre from where some of these in the past couple of years, the Central Division games have started at, it says 8:30 Central Time, but the reality is it's closer to 8:45 once TV does their hullabaloo and everything else. So a lot of these games have started, inching towards the 9 p.m. start time, Central Time, local time. So it's going to be, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an afternoon game or two in the course of this series. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if these Central Division start times are not anywhere near your 7 o'clocks, but closer to your
game 4 and game 4 most likely starts next week. And I don't mean the upcoming week. I mean the week after that. So,
like you're saying, because there's going to be 2 or 3 days off between game 3 and game 4 because of the scheduling conflicts at the Blues Arena. Because there's scheduling conflicts on the Friday and the Saturday at the Blues Arena. Yeah, and that are not getting moved. They're not being able to move. If BTO gets moved, they're not moving. I think it's Brooks and Dunn and Cat Williams, the comedian, if I'm not mistaken, or Friday.
Enterprise Center is the St. Louis Arena.
Right. They keep wanting to call it the Keel Arena, but it hasn't been the Keel Arena in a very long time.
So I'm just saying that it may just be some time between games as opposed to quick.
But it's like I said earlier, right, boys? Like, people will adapt and they will revolve. Jets fans, the city of Winnipeg, will revolve their schedules around whenever these games are.
Let's just
wait and see when the times come out.
I'm just very excited for the game 2 triple overtime when the game goes till, but I'm still in the arena at 2 in the morning doing this post-game show.
Yeah, but you know what? I know I'm confident in saying that if it was to happen, and it's going to be in the wee hours, there will be hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of you watching us live on the Illegal Curve post-game show. We'll be there, so we damn well know that you will be there as well. Let's take our commercial break. We're almost an hour into this post-game show.
We haven't even done a goal yet, for God's sakes.
It's a meaningless game. It doesn't matter the goals. We'll talk about the last goal. That's the only one that was really that important. But maybe we'll give a secret.
Well, we got to really. Drew, there were some things that were. Drew, Ezzy, wouldn't you say the Logan Stanley hit on Cutter Gauthier?
We talked about that.
I know, but I kind of feel like we need to talk about it again.
Here, Drew, I'll do it. Neal Pionk's goal.
The Seagram shot of the game.
Thank you, Ezzy. I want to make sure I get all my bumpers in. Not at the 13:49 mark of the second period. Pionk off the draw, Perfetti, and the Mesnikov with the assists. So that's the first goal. And we're going to go to break. And when we come back, you'll stay for the second goal and the third goal. So much more to come. Tonight, it is the Illegal Curve post-game show, the 82nd edition of them. We wrapped up another regular season, post playoffs still to come. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you. Don't go anywhere.
We want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre. Holt Dental, the new official dentist of Illegal Curve, has a philosophy rooted in two unyielding principles: genuinely caring about patients and providing outstanding service. Being a patient of Holt Dental means more than just checkups and treatments. It's taking the time to listen and talk to each patient so they can achieve the best long-term health, functionality, and aesthetics for their teeth, mouth, and gums. Conveniently located at Grant Park Festival on Taylor Avenue, Holt Dental is dentistry of the highest quality in a comfortable and relaxed environment. For more information, visit holtdental.ca. Oh, and there's plenty of free parking at the front door, too. Celebrating its 40th year as Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best and most affordable live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For more information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg. You know you're in game 82 of the season. The Oilers are having to play with 5 defensemen tonight because of their salary cap situation and the injuries and everything else. Here are the 5 defensemen that they have playing for them. I mean, if it's not too early.
Darnell Nurse is suspended too.
Darnell Nurse is suspended, right? That also factoring in. So Evan Bouchard is playing defense for them.
And probably at 400 minutes.
Yeah, maybe 400 at the minimum. Cam Dineen, Brett Kulak.
Wait, is Cam Dineen Kevin Dineen's kid?
Yes.
Is he?
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Cam Dineen, Brett Kulak, Josh Brown, and Ty Emberson. Those are the 5 defensemen that the Oilers have on the ice tonight against the San Jose Sharks. I mean, that is not their regular lineup. I would suggest that would be safe to say.
Cam Dineen is not related to Kevin Dineen, by the way.
I was like, it's funny. As you were very bold there, and I was like, really? I didn't think Kevin Dineen would be old enough. Well, I just assume it's like Skylar Brindamore. Like, who wouldn't think that he was related to Rod Brindamore, right? I saw the name Dineen, and I just assumed he was related. You went a little excited. Yeah. Well, Drew, if we're doing out of town scoreboard watching, man, the Dallas Stars.
Yep.
Like they lost again, and they lost to the Nashville Predators. And it was funny because they scored the first goal. I'm like, all right, maybe they're going to try and end on a high note.
I'm taking Colorado in that second round series all day long, especially with no Heiskanen.
Have you seen the right side of the Dallas Stars defense?
Well, without Heiskanen, they're toast.
Drew, is it worse than the Oilers' right side?
It might be, and the Oilers are playing without a right side defenseman. They only have 2 of them, and the Stars' right side defense might be worse.
Doug is asking if this is Oilers lunch, and I don't disagree with him.
It isn't, but I saw the tweet and I thought it was funny. I know people have been asking where we're going to be and when we're going to be and everything else about.
We're barely here, for God's sakes.
We're going to be everywhere, Drew. Everywhere.
About our live on location shows. So we're at City Place before every home playoff game. The Illegal Curve pregame show will make its triumphant return this weekend. I don't know if it's going to return on Saturday. I don't know if it's going to return on Sunday, but the Illegal Curve pregame show will be on before game 1 and game 2. Join us at City Place. You can't miss us. We're in the food court. There's a massive Illegal Curve poster. You can't miss us. We'll be there.
It's not there right now, but I'm hoping that's because we're getting a fancy playoff.
You're getting a playoff one. They're printing up a playoff poster.
I'm saying the other one, I was disappointed because I went through City Place the other day on my way home my way out of practice. And I was like, hey, where's the banner? And I realized it's because that banner was the old banner, Ezzy. Now we need a new one.
They have
So you're saying banners don't fly forever, Drew?
Not
Okay.
IC banners.
Yeah.
IC banners do not fly
Yeah,
forever.
no one ever said the posters. No one ever said posters fly forever. Banners do. This is a poster, not a banner.
There
In
you
any
go.
event, we'll be at City Place before every home playoff game. So join us there. As for the post-game shows, those are, of course, going to happen right after each and every playoff game. That'll be as per usual here on our YouTube channel. We will also be at Boston Pizza. I don't know when. I'll be frank. We don't know the schedule. We don't know where we're going to be.
But it'll be game 3 or 4.
Well, yeah, for one of those 2 games, assuming the schedule lines up and everything else, we will be at Boston Pizza. So just keep it locked to our social medias at Illegal Curve. Keep it locked on the website, illegalcurve.com, and you will find out where we are. As soon as we know, you will know. We will be here, there, and everywhere covering the Winnipeg Jets, covering this playoff run. Just like we've done for all 82 games of this regular season, we keep it going come playoff time.
Fire it up, boys.
Yeah.
No President's Trophy presentation, I'm told.
By the organization, is that what you mean?
Yeah, there won't be.
Does anybody actually care?
No, I mean, I just saw the question. I think someone asked it in the chat.
No, I know. I'm not saying. I'm not. No, I mean,
I
you're
thought,
right
it's funny you asked that, Ezzy. I thought they should have raised the President's Trophy banner tonight, get it over with, be done with it, and then move on to the next one.
That would be next year. They'll raise the banner.
I know.
But
I'm sure
if they would have gotten the trophy, it would have been this game. But yeah, they're not. That didn't happen. So
right. But
one thing that did happen though,
Iafallo.
Jets fans were very happy in fan appreciation. They were getting hot dogs, they were getting unlimited pop, and they were giving away guitars with like Jets themed guitars. They gave somehow Carter Schenn was entered in a contest, for God's sakes. There was lots of things going on. It was a lot of fun.
Another sellout. What is that? Is that 9 in a row for in terms of the regular season?
Eight straight sellouts, 16 in total, I believe.
And you know what? So kudos to the Winnipeg Jets fans for turning up with their wallet. We know that the playoff games are already sold out. That happened in the blink of an eye.
And
the street parties.
Street parties,
yeah. So the excitement is real. The excitement is palpable. And kudos to, again, hopefully somebody at The Athletic won't write the article that I'm sure they have it queued up to write every 4 months, not Murat. So it's not a shot at him, but it's for the other people at The Athletic who like to pick on us here in little Winnipeg. And hopefully they'll maybe shelve that article for a couple months at the very least and acknowledge that.
What article? Which article, Drew?
The article that they always write about how woe is Winnipeg, the attendance problems, the franchise is in trouble, the organizing.
No, but I mean, Mike McIntyre, who's been detailing it, it said that last year the average was like 13.2. It was up almost 1,000 season tickets this year, so or like fans in the building. So 14.3 I think was the average this year, which is good. I mean, again, like I said, it's but it was incumbent on the organization to realize that they couldn't take the fans for granted. They did, and they've put measures in place to kind of turn things around in that regard. Good for them. Good for the fans for supporting. And they, as he said, you've had a hell of a good team through 82 games. To watch 56 wins in a season, something we've never done in 14 years of this show, is remarkable.
Dave, can we just get back to the hot dogs for a second? What do they do with the hot dogs that people don't eat? Like, are those available? Like,
oh no, you can go pick. They've got a huge garbage bag.
Press box.
No, Ezzy, there's a huge garbage bag full of hot dogs that they actually have
like waiting for me. Like I can go pick them up. Okay, nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, to your point, Dave, 56 wins, 116 points. Both of those are franchise records. President's Trophy, first time ever. Central Division winners, first time ever. Western
Connor Hellebuyck, 47 wins.
Yeah.
Mark Scheifele, career high for points. Kyle Connor, career high for points. Franchise high with points with
97, baby.
90. Was it 97 or 96?
97 because he got an assist on the overtime winner.
Josh Moore, little minutia for everyone. Josh Morrissey moves ahead of Brian Little on the all-time points list. William Jennings drew the award. I mean, it's Cole Perfetti hits a career high for points.
You could almost call it, Dave, a season to remember.
Yeah, that would be a fair way of describing it. It was
this was a lot of fun. You didn't even get that joke. Remember?
I did. I remembered. I got it. Okay. It still brings up hurt memories. So
I was going to say,
trying not to tear up a little bit there.
You tried to move fast that one quick.
The last time the Jets had a season to remember, they weren't here the year after. So I was trying to avoid that topic altogether. Thank you. It's been a hell of a fun regular season. I mean, it really has been. We've been here with you for 82 games of it. And we're excited to keep it going. And last year, it only lasted 5 games. The year before that, it only lasted 5 games. I don't get that same impression. I just don't. We've talked about it, but it's been a hell of a ride for the first 82 games of this season. And we're excited to see where the next few weeks, months, take us, and the journey will be one that we all vacation on together moving forward for the next little while.
It's amazing how many times. It's actually funny how many times I've seen different things. Game 1 between the Jets and St. Louis Blues will be 5 p.m. on Saturday. That's okay. Mitchell Clinton just said that. Although Murat just said 7 p.m., but maybe he fumbled that one.
Yeah,
but
the NHL just released the broadcast schedule, and it's 6 o'clock on Saturday.
6 p.m. Eastern
time, 5 o'clock
yeah,
Central.
Sorry, yeah, right. So 5.
I'm not an Eastern snob. I only focus on what's going on in the Central time zone. That's the one that matters to us folk here in the Prairie. So 5 o'clock start time on Saturday, which means the Illegal Curve post-game show, if the game ends in regulation, folks, will be at 7:40. And of course, enjoy the fire, because this is my last post-game show. Although, I guess I could do virtual background while I'm in the press box, but I will be staying for the games and will not be doing the post-game show from home. I will be.
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, and nobody can be upset with this because this is prime time. Like that's it's, I don't know if it's exactly prime time, but 5 o'clock on Saturday, that's a great time.
It's a very weird time.
It's a very weird start time, actually.
Oh, sorry, Drew. I forgot about your anniversary dinner.
Thank you. Some of us can be upset. I'm pretty sure my anniversary dinner is at 7:45.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
It looks like no, Ezzy. That just means that Drew's going to skip out on game 1. It looks like you and I are going to be taking it home.
Well, that's such a weird start time. I might, 7:45. Or
this is where Drew lives in denial.
Time. Yeah, this is me hoping that there's a typo somewhere in here, and they're going to revise it at some point in time, but I guess not. So
looks like someone's
I
going
like that.
for lunch.
I like a nice early start.
It's just what a weird start time. Like why?
That sounds like a guy that has to make new anniversary plans.
100%,
100%, Mon.
Yeah, 5 p.m. is the start time on Saturday, which means that. Well, we have to figure out a schedule for Illegal Curve because we just have the Illegal Curve hockey show at 9 a.m. and then we got a pregame show afterwards. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen.
So basically, on Saturday, let me recap. So we're going to be doing 9 o'clock, our regular Saturday morning show. Then we're going to be doing the pregame show, I imagine, at around 3 o'clock, 3:30, something like that.
Somewhere around there,
and then we're going to be back for the postgame show right around 7:45 or 8, depending on if it goes to overtime. So that's going to be a busy little Saturday, boys.
That'll certainly be a busy little Saturday, is right. And we will get all the details. That is such a bizarre. Why 5 o'clock? Like, why does Sportsnet and Hockey Night in Canada want that at 5 p.m. Central Time? I mean,
I would imagine that I think Dallas and Colorado are playing at like 8, maybe.
Well, that starts at 8:30 Eastern Time.
Yeah.
So you have 2.5 hours between them, but boy, it's a weird. Like,
by the way, is anybody else
game they're going to announce?
Is anybody else enjoying Drew's complete meltdown from?
I'm not melting down. I'm keeping it. I will have you know, I am keeping it together a lot better than I expected.
I'm more concerned about the people who have to figure out what the hell they're going to do with their BTO tickets.
Well, I'm sure they'll, I have to believe that if you're buying BTO tickets at this point in your life, you're a diehard BTO fan and you're going to follow them to whatever the showtime is.
Yeah, well, anyways, look, we know the time, and Ezzy's right. It's going to be a hell of a busy Saturday for us to do the 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. show, and then whenever we start 3 o'clock, ooh, baby, it's going to be a lot of IC coverage, and I want everyone to be smashing that like button. I've noticed a lot more subscriptions, and for the record, we have the hockey stick to give away. I will be doing it. I'm going to do the announcement. So wait, what's today? Today was the last game. I'll do the announcement on Saturday morning. We'll do it then because I still haven't done the draw. So if you entered, hopefully you have entered, but maybe we'll extend it. You can still enter if you want. And then
it's not just any hockey stick, Dave. You got to hype it up. It's a CCM Jet Speed Stick.
Pro
It's
7.
a $300 stick.
Well, I don't want to say the number, but you got it wrong. It's
Is
more
it
than
higher?
that. Oh, yeah, it's more than that. So
Yeah.
you definitely want
It's,
to
Dave, it's put it this way: it's more than I make from a legal curve.
But anyways, so we'll give that away, and then we're gonna have lots of fun this playoffs, and we I guess we can take this opportunity, since this is length of a Saturday show, almost not our normal post game show, but we've got to thank everyone for joining us for all 82 of these post game shows, because without you guys, it would, and girls, of course, it would not be the same show. We love our transition from radio to this format, this media, because it's so much more interactive. We enjoy it so much more. It's more distracting, but it's so much more enjoyable for us to be able to see all of your comments and to participate with all of you. And then, like Spency, sometimes bring you into the chat or into the show from the chat. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for your support. Win, lose, or I see Drew. Although this year there's not been a lot of that. It's been all winning. And so we appreciate your
and I just remembered something. Aren't you going to Nelly on Friday too, Drew?
I am, yes, but I'm going with my wife to Nelly. I mean, it's not.
So couldn't that be?
I'm just saying it's going to be a very busy weekend. Don't party too hard.
I can't help myself, as when Nelly and Ja Rule get going.
When it gets hot in here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna wear a Band-Aid. I got my St. Louis Cardinals gear already. It's gonna be a party. That's it. That's it for the post game show. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to remind everybody that what you need to do is you need to follow illegalcurve.com. You need to be doing that all the time. You need to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. You need to be subscribed to the podcast. That's also what you need to do. You need to smash the like button. That's also something you need to do. We will be back Saturday at 9 a.m. Then we'll be back Saturday again. And then we'll be back Saturday again. And then with the rest of the schedule, we'll let you know when we're going to be back again. But probably Monday, by the sounds of the things, is when we'll also likely be back. But time will tell exactly on that account. We want to say a big thank you to all of you. You made it with us for 82 games this year, and that's terrific. And we're excited to do it for a whole bunch more games. I'll say it as a Winnipegger and not so much as a journalist or a broadcast journalist, but hopefully 16 victories to come still. And wouldn't that being a party to the city of Winnipeg? We want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors, because they're really, in addition to you and everybody watching, they're also the lifeblood of the show. That's our friends, of course, at Play Now. They get top billing. They're the title sponsor of all of our programming. Our friends at Holt Dental, they're brand new to us this year, and they've been a great sponsor. Boston Pizza, we spent so much great time with them. Same with our friends at City Place. Seagram's, shots of the game. We've been awarding those for 82 games. That's a lot of fun. And, of course, a place near and dear to all of our hearts, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club. They've been with us for so very many years. And a reminder, of course, any game that goes into overtime, the ICOT pool will return for the playoffs. So be sure to keep it locked to our X feed and our Blue Sky feed. Maybe if Dave's the one sending it out, he'll also put it out on our threads and whatever else we have.
Hey, we're almost at 4,000 on. We're almost at 4,000 on threads. We're big. We're the number one source for Jets news on threads.
That's great. Deal. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great to hear. I got to tell you.
Hey.
Dave's rocking us out on all the different social media platforms, but we encourage you to support all these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Jets won tonight, by the way, 2-1. It was a great goal. It was in overtime. You can catch the whole game recap on illegalcurve.com. Big thanks to all of you for joining us. Until Saturday.
Drew, just in case anybody's listening, the BTO concert has been moved to Sunday.
There you go. So they're going to take care of business on Sunday instead of on Saturday.
Dave, look how easy that was.
Randy Backman, as a Winnipegger, born and raised, I'm thrilled to see the Jets take their best in league record into the playoffs. I will be at Game 1 on Saturday, loudly cheering "Go Jets Go," and look forward to playing with BTO April 20th at Canada Life Center.
That's true. Somebody just mentioned, yes. It just clued into me. I was talking about Nelly being from St. Louis, and now, of course, the Jets and the Blues. I wonder if Nelly is going to say anything to get the Jets fans on his side on Friday night.
I will say, Drew, just as a quick aside, there are, and I put this out on X, as he likes to call it, but the storylines are great. I mean, aside from obviously the 2019 rematch, as you got AGM, Alex Steen, who was a young Winnipegger playing hockey here. He's now the AGM, the GM in waiting. He'll be taking over. The two longest tenured GMs in hockey going at it. You've got Adam Lowry, born in St. Louis. Yep. So there are some really fun story. Oh, and I should mention Joel Hofer, the backup goalie, of course, is from Winnipeg. So
Schenn brothers.
Schenn
Yeah,
brothers.
Schenn brothers playing each other. And
Hellebuyck against Binnington.
yeah,
the
Four
rematch
Nations
from
rematch.
Four
So
Nations.
the Schenn brothers one is a fun one because Luke Schenn almost seems pained by the fact that he has to go against Braden. And every time he talks about it, and again, if you didn't catch it, go to our YouTube channel. That's where you'll catch all the videos. We have that one up. By the way, practice is happening tomorrow. Saw the Jets put that out. So that'll be at noon. So stick around for the practice report. We'll have that in full along with everything else Jets related on a little site called illegalcurve.com.
It'll be fun Saturday morning. Keep it locked. A comprehensive preview of the Jets and the St. Louis Blues. You know it's going to be a big one, a big show. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and again, of course, on Saturday night. For Dave Minuk, for Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mandel. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, turn your notifications on. We will see everybody on Saturday. 82 regular season games behind us. The playoffs yet to come. Thanks everyone for joining us. Until Saturday at 9 a.m. We wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.